We begin in Sri Lanka, where the United Nations has made two very serious claims against the Tamil Tigers. It says they are shooting civilians as they flee this war zone, and says the group has launched a recruitment drive for child soldiers. The Tamil Tigers have denied those claims, both of which are war crimes. More on that in a moment, but first, David Hawkins filed this report from the capital, Colombo.
These are the innocent victims, Sri Lankan civilians trapped on the battlefield. At a makeshift ICRC hospital set up in the war zone, they receive rudimentary medical care. But there are severe shortages of medicine, food, and clean water. The UN says it's a humanitarian disaster in the making.
My whole family is here without any shelter. We have been here since 8 a.m. seeking treatment. I fear that if we are left like this, the children may die. It would be better if my whole family dies, as there won't be a problem after that.
United Nations officials say the Tamil Tiger rebels are holding tens of thousands of people hostage, preventing them from fleeing to safety. Among them are 15 members of the UN's own staff and their families. They say one UN worker has been forced to fight with the rebels. Those who defy the Tamil Tigers and try to escape are shot and sometimes killed, according to a UN statement. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or the LTTE, blame the Sri Lankan military for the civilian casualties, saying they're victims of indiscriminate shelling. The Sri Lankan government says the rebels are using the civilians as human shields to buy time and slow down the military's advance.
There is a theory that, LTTE leadership is trying to escape from Sri Lanka to somewhere, and till then that they will keep these civilians as a shield, and then once they escape, they will just let go.
Already, though, more than 35,000 people have managed to cross the front lines to relative safety. Since these pictures were taken a few days ago, more than 700 people from this hospital in Putumatalan have been rescued by the ICRC, taken by boat down the coast to a government-run hospital in Trincomalee. How many civilians remain inside the war zone is unknown. Estimates range from about 70,000 to more than 200,000. However many there are, while the fighting continues, each side blames the other for their misery. David Hawkins, Al Jazeera, Colombo, Sri Lanka.
Well, those accusations of child soldier recruitment and the shooting of civilians have been backed up by UNICEF spokesman in Colombo, James Elder.
The LTTE continues to actively prevent people from leaving, and yes, yesterday the United Nations did report that a growing number of people trying to leave have been shot and at times killed. Two critical things here. One is that women and children are allowed to leave the conflict zone and go to safe areas where they can be reached with support. The other one is that both sides to this fight, the government, troops and the LTTE, need to ensure absolute protection for civilians, and that hasn't been happening. We have babies with shrapnel wounds, shot injuries, blast wounds, this kind of things. We're getting scores of children evacuated from the area. We've had reliable reports that with children as young as 14 are being recruited into the ranks of the LTTE. Now, given, again, this intensification of the current fighting, any child recruited is likely to be in the line of fire. These children face the worst kind of horrors. They face being in the front line of an intense conflict in the prime of their childhood. This is clearly against Sri Lankan law and international law. The people who've been able to leave are in a situation now where we are able to reach them with support. UNICEF and other UN agencies and partners are responding with a typical full gamut of emergency health supply, hygiene kits, safe water, shelter, remembering that the situation for these people, beyond the obvious that they are in an intense conflict, those people still in the Vani, and these are the people we are so deeply concerned for, are experiencing serious shortages of food, of medicine, of clean water, and as a result, increasing numbers are becoming ill, alongside those who are being injured in the crossfire between the two parties. So the UN remains incredibly concerned for those people who are trapped and can't leave, their humanitarian situation, and of course that they're getting caught in the fire. But those people who've been able to leave, yes, they are getting humanitarian support, and we're now desperately eager for the remainder, those 200,000 other people, to be able to leave and to be able to be in a safe area where they too can receive the type of support that they require.
More on this now. We are joined by Al Jazeera's David Hawkins live in the capital, Colombo. David, incredible accusations, shocking accusations coming from the UN. What more are you hearing about this?
Well, the Sri Lankan government, their reaction to this can be summed up in 4 words: we told you so. They've maintained for quite a long time that the Tamil Tigers, the LTTE, have been recruiting child soldiers and that they've been forcing civilians or preventing civilians from fleeing the war zone by firing at those who try to leave or by threatening them. And just last week, there was a suicide bomber who blew herself up and killed soldiers and civilians as they were being processed who had crossed the line. So the Sri Lankan government feels vindicated. They've been saying this for a long time, that the Tamil Tigers have been behaving this way. And now that the United Nations and UNICEF and the Red Cross have confirmed their allegations against the Tamil Tigers, they feel vindicated.
Will it make a difference, though?
Will it make a difference? The Tamil Tigers have come under criticism for this for quite a long time. Now that their backs are essentially against the wall, any international criticism I would expect would fall on deaf ears. They don't have much incentive. There's nothing they have to gain in terms of international support for agreeing to not recruit child soldiers. This seems to be an act of desperation, although they have done it before, with their numbers dwindling and the fact that they're confined to a very small territory and under attack by the military. It seems unlikely that any amount of international condemnation will have much effect at all.
Now, those tens of thousands who are still trapped alongside the Tamil Tiger fighters, any word on them and what is being done to get them out?
Well, the Sri Lankan government, the president of Sri Lanka, has appealed to those people to come out. Now, everyone realizes, or the Sri Lankan government realizes, and indeed asserts, that the Tamil Tigers are preventing civilians from leaving. There's a dispute over the number of civilians still trapped inside that 100 square kilometer area. 8 organizations have cited figures as high as 200,000. The government says the number is much lower than that it's about 70,000 civilians still trapped inside that area. They do say, though, that the number isn't that significant in terms of their concern for those people who are trapped inside the war zone. They say that they're taking necessary precautions, or as much precaution as they can, to prevent death and injury to civilians. They're providing for the civilians who do come across the lines in camps where they're being processed. Now, there's been some criticism of those camps in that the people who come out, who flee the war zone, are put into military camps and they're not allowed freedom of movement. The government says that that's because they have to make sure that Tamil Tiger fighters are not mixing with the civilians who are leaving the war zone. So there's the government says that they're all providing food, water, and medicine to those who leave, and even to civilians who remain inside the war zone. That they're providing supplies, food, medicine, etc., to the ICRC, which is distributing those supplies inside the war zone.
Okay, David Hawkins, thanks for talking to us via video phone from Colombo. Now, they make up